note that I have just completed color stop number 3, which is the filigree. Say I wanted to add some lettering, you would have to do this before you started stitching it. And note that this is color stop number 3 that we just finished. So to do, if you have a machine that has editing capabilities, this is how you would do it. Okay, this is, you have brought in the first design. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm coming out of that, returning, and I'm back at my main screen. I want to add some lettering. I'm going to have to add lettering between this point and this point, or this point and this point upside down. So I'm going to do this one down here. So I would pick some lettering, and let's just say I'm going to do, I'll do like the GVF again. GVF, which are my initials. Oops, too big. Or maybe the medium size. Yeah. And that'll work. So I picked those 3 letters. Okay, if yours that's not it. Try that one. Okay, now if your machine has the ability to put things into an array, which is a slant, I'm going to hit array, which is right here. If you have the Baby Lock or the Brother, most of the machines, at least the higher end ones, have edit capability. So I want to put it into a slant. And so notice it's put it like that. I want it to go the other way, so I'm going to change the degree of the slant. And this could take a while. And if I don't like it, which is what I'm doing, I'm not liking that. Close. Oh, I'm going to delete that. Okay, I'm going to put in 1 letter at a time. So I have my stylus. This is going to help. I can set each letter 1 at a time. Move it here, and I want it below. It just wasn't going how I wanted it to. And edit, add another letter. I don't want an S. V, medium. Could also use the arrow keys. And see, I'll just take that and scoot it in a little more. Okay, and now if I wanted to put letters on the top part, I would continue on. I'll put the same letters on the top. Medium. I want to rotate it. Put it on this side. Okay, what I did was I went to added the letter. Let's go back so we can see this a little better. Okay, I added the letter. Here's the font. I want an F. I want it medium. Okay, I'm going to hit set. I'm going to rotate it twice, 90 degrees. Now it's upside down, and you can use the arrow keys. It's actually safer to use the arrow keys because you can actually hit the wrong button. Okay, and okay, I'm not liking where that V is, so I'm going to close. I'm going to select now, and I'm going to keep hitting select until I have the little red box around the V, and I'm going to use these arrow keys to move it where I want it. So now, notice I have the letters over here. So I go to sewing, and now it's ready to stitch. So, is go back to the machine. You'll see it's doing up here, it's showing you that it's doing the filigree work. In order to do these letters here, I would have to advance all the way to the end, and note that I want to come back to number 3 or number 4. Okay, now here starts the letter, so I would stitch all of these letters, and then it would tell me, hey, it's finished. Then I would go back to number 1, advance to number 2. We've already done number 3. Now we're on number 4, and we can continue. Okay, in this part, we're going to show you how to put a letter, which is just a simple letter, or you could put any design in the middle of this single USB holder. And this time we're going to use a machine that does not have editing capabilities. So this essentially is treated as 2 separate designs. In order to do this, what we're going to have to do is load the original design into the machine and stitch it up to color stop number 3. Now when you're loading into the machine, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to reposition it anywhere. Just take the natural center and the 0 rotation. Wherever it goes, just leave it there, because we're not going to have the ability to, we don't have a camera and we don't have editing capabilities, so we are going to have to assume that it's straight and in the center in order to come back. So anyway, I'm stitched up to number 3, which is the 3rd color stop in this design. And what we're doing is I'm going to next position a letter somewhere in here, between here and here and here and here. So we're going to have to do that manually. What we have to do is come completely out of this design and go back to the root directory. Okay, now this method is going to work whether you have the Sophia, which is the 4-inch machine, or the 5x7, I think it's the Accord, the PE 700 or 770, any of those that have just a 5x5 or a 4x4 embroidery field and that don't have embroidery editing within the machine itself. So what we have to do is come out of this design, and the easiest way is to hit embroidery. It's the same on all of the machines, so yes, I want to cancel it. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is go into my lettering, and then for this one I'm only going to put a single letter in there, and I think I will use this font right here, and I'm going to put a G, and I'll leave it like that. So what I'm going to have to do is go to Adjust and Layout, and I want to run the trial, which is right here, because I need to position this. So probably what I'm going to do is just eyeball the center of the needle in the hoop, and I'm going to use these arrows to position it. So let me ease back. Okay, we can see that. So I'm going to use these keys to sort of just eyeball it in the center of the design, somewhere around there. I'm going to hit the trace key, which looks like a square, and here I can go through, most of them I can now go through the 9 points of the positioning, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it at the center, and I'm going to just see where it's going to be. And I see that this letter is like way too big, so I have to start again. So I'm going to go back to embroidery, going to pick the lettering, pick that center, and this time I'm going to put G, but I'm going to put a middle size. Then Adjust and Layout and trial it. Let me just see if the size is good. It's a little on the small side. So what I'm going to do is go back. I'm going to hit size, and I'm going to make it a little larger. So what we have is this icon. It looks like a square with 4 arrows pointing out of it. Okay, and it's going to be the same on all the machines. It'll be under size rather than layout. And I'm going to size it up. And I keep touching it till it's bigger and bigger. I want it at least 1 inch wide. And right here it's telling me how wide it is. and how tall it is, but I want it an inch wide. Okay, that's a little less. That's make it smaller. Okay, I'm going to run a trial just to make sure it's the right size, which is this key. Again, let me look at that again. Okay, the size looks about right, but positioning is wrong. So I'm going to return. I'm going to use my arrow keys to go sort of in the middle, and I think it needs to go a little more over that way, a little further down, and I'm going to have to look at this. So I'm going to hit the trial again and note where it goes. Okay, it's finishing here. Yeah, I think that's about where I want it to go. And now I'm going to stitch the letter. Okay, now that I have it positioned, I'm going to go ahead and stitch out the letter. Okay, it's done. So we now have to continue on with the USB holder. So I'm going to go back to my screen. I'm going to go to Embroidery, lock out the design. I'm going to go ahead and bring the design back in. I am not going to adjust it. Remember, when I first stitched this out, I left it in the natural center and natural rotation of the hoop itself. So I am going to now go to Adjust, Plus and Minus. We stopped stitching at number 3, so I'm going to advance it forward, which you have a spool with a minus, a spool with a plus. That's a whole color stop. This one right here is going to be moving back 1 stitch and ahead 1 stitch. So I'm going to go ahead to past. Here's where we stitched before, which says here number 3. So I'm going to go to now number 4, and I'm even going to go ahead 1 stitch just to be sure. Okay, and now we continue on with the rest of the design. Okay, it's all finished, and this is relatively centered in the middle. I could have done a little bit better, but see, it's finished, and this time instead of putting a long ribbon, I put a short ribbon on there and added a jump ring so that I could attach it to my keychain. So if you have any questions on how to do any of these techniques, then give us a call at Attic Treasures at Occoquan, Virginia at 703-490-1536, or you can email me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com.